Add myself. Okay. Wow. Last show. Let me get some things set up. I'll be with everybody in a second. I want to get some things set up over here. Where we at? Gotta get this going. Okay, there we go. So that's down. Good in this page. Here we go. Perfect. Come back over here. Woo. Tonight's show was pretty good. You see, what's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? When y'all tap into the room, I want to definitely salute you properly. So when you come into the room, as I ask every week, state your city, your state, and your name so I could salute you properly. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. I'm excited. Tonight was the finale. I'm really excited to see what you guys think. Make sure y'all hit those like buttons for me. So when you come in the room, hit the like button so we can have the algorithm going. You know, please, please hit those like buttons. Okay, as I want to announce y'all properly. I want to show y'all the proper love. I'm gonna wait till the room fill up. We're gonna give them about 6 or 7 more minutes, and then we're gonna get into the shenanigans. All right, the shenanigans, the shenanigans. I love tonight's show. KRS-One was one of my favorite artists. Him, I'm gonna give y'all my top 5 right now for the people that's in the room. Shout out to everybody. I'm gonna make sure I show everybody love. So when you come into the room, y'all need to hit those like buttons. Number one, y'all need to have some excellent questions tonight because we're gonna have a few guests on the finale that's gonna come in and show us some love. And so when they get in, I'll announce them. Until then, we're gonna keep the conversation going. Make sure that y'all tap in with your let me turn this down. Make sure you tap in with your uh, state and city. But my top 5, well, I'll just start with KRS-One. My top songs is My Philosophy, Criminal Minded, Jimmy, South Bronx, and Because I'm number one, boom, 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 doom, 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 doom. Oh yeah, poetry. AI, you're right. Poetry was hard too. Poetry was hard. Poetry was hard. Everybody that come in the room, please hit those like buttons so we could get things going. We got another 6 more minutes before we get things started. I want y'all to get some popcorn. I want y'all to get something to drink because tonight is going to be an amazing night. I have a surprise, a couple of surprises. So y'all need to hold on. Stay with me throughout the live. This is our last live at the moment. We'll be coming back with some information on when we're going to go back live. You know what I mean? Sorry about that. This is our last live for tonight. We wrapped up the season. Let me make sure. Hold on. Hold on, Jess. Uh, we got some things going on over here, so let me get this to you right now. Sorry about that. Oh man, got a lot going on right now, y'all. But this is the deal. This is our last live for the season. I'm excited that everybody actually watched every episode. I need you guys to share the episodes. I need you guys to bang those like buttons too, man. Bang those like buttons for me. I see my brother. You ready, C? You ready to come in, C? Just give me the thumbs up when you're ready. Okay. Adding my brother C in.
Can you hear me?
I don't hear you though. You might have to unmute yourself. I got no audio on you.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna pull him out until he gets everything together. Then we're gonna have some important information. Just it's a crazy night tonight, man. I'm trying to multitask. But what did y'all think of the show tonight? What did y'all think of the show? Let me know. What did you guys think of the show tonight? What did you guys think of the show? Let me know. Smash those like buttons as you enter the room. Subscribe to the channel as well. Um, you know, so let me share something with y'all. And this is what I would like to share with y'all while we here. You ready, C? While C's getting things together, I'm gonna ask y'all again, hit those like buttons, share the links. We're gonna have some great conversation tonight. C, let me know when you're ready. Just give me the thumbs up and I'll throw you back in. Okay, cool. Here we go. Can you hear me?
Mic check. Can you? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I know why I can't hear you. There we go. You good?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, man, I love tonight's show, man. Super Level C is in the building from Super Level C, Casanova Rudd. Salute to the brother. C, man, we got a few people in the room. Let me see what's going on the other side of town. Okay. We got a few people over here too. Let me shout out my people on Facebook. Okay. So see, man, tonight was a good show for me, man. You know, we wrapped it up with KRS-One. We started off with Slick Rick. We started off great. Ended strong. I'm excited about season 2. But tonight was KRS-One was one of those artists for me that really made me fall in love with hip hop in the early 80s as well as a bunch of artists, but he was one in particular that really made me pay attention to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And especially how he came into the game, how him and MC Shan had their whole back and forth. I was hoping Unc was getting on here tonight so he could talk about the time where it was pretty much BDP going after his artists. I thought he would be able to add a lot of context to that tonight. So I'm hoping that he has the ability to get on tonight. He has some family issues the last few weeks, so I know he's attending to his family. Make sure y'all bang those like buttons for me, man.
Well, I can tell you this. I can tell you this, man. I remember being at United States of America back in Queens, and now mind you, we in Queens, and KRS-One came to Queens, and then the bridge is over. You want to talk about epic? It was epic. It was epic. Oh man. But he came in there and he did it. And one of the things that you always find amazing is you get an act like KRS-One comes into Queens, right? Where the home of Shan, and completely rocked the house. It was crazy.
Yeah, well,
it was crazy. Yeah.
I think for most people at that time, more people, I think a lot of people were more concerned and supportive of the music. I don't think it was so territorial back then. I think if it was just a great record, I don't care. We was, I'm from Strong Island, but I was, anytime the South Bronx came on, when that record came on, I was from South Bronx. When the Bridge came on, I was from the Bridge. So it was just like for me, and I think at that time, it wasn't so territorial for cats that really wasn't from where they were representing in their record,
And that was my point exactly. It was about him coming in there, and it was that talent. It was KRS-One. It was just dope, and you had, what I'm saying, you couldn't refuse it. I don't care where you was from. And the thing about United States of America at that time is you had people from all over. You know what I mean?
Right.
You had Brooklyn in the house. You had Queens. It was all over. But the point was, the fact that he came in and he rocked that house, man. You just had to give him that respect because it was a dope record. You couldn't take nothing from him. It was absolutely dope. Yep. But that was the point I was making, brother.
Yeah. I want to shout out a few people in the chat. Came in early, showed us some love. The Real Joke Entertainment 1107. They representing Landover. Dartmouth, what's up? Valley Forge, aka is the headquarters. Queens, New York. Shout out to Jessica Melendez holding us down with the moderation. Kareem Supreme TV, Rochester, New York. Ramble 79. Def Rocker representing Newark, New Jersey. AI. Angela Jameson, Boston, Massachusetts. KRS-One, I Come Back. Hot Survival Skills album, second quarter. She got it all in, man. Cool Pen 40. Shout out to you. Ed Ray's Wedge. I can't even pronounce that one. I ain't even gonna try. But yeah, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the room right now. Share these links on your social media. Tag the artist that we talking about. We're gonna start off with a conversation about KRS-One, and then whatever artists that come in and join the live, we'll expand the conversation. So for me, what I think KRS-One was definitely a well-rounded MC, not only back in the 80s, but now. And he's one of those artists that stayed true to his foundation. He's not much different in terms of music, in terms of what he's talking about now than he was in the 80s. But what I love about KRS-One, and anybody that loves KRS-One, at them on Instagram, let them know that we talking about him. Let them know we just did a dope show. But what I love about KRS-One is he continues to teach, and I love his transition from being an artist to actually doing all these lectures, and people actually just don't want to see him rap. They want to actually hear what he has to say. What's your thoughts about that, Soup?
Well, the thing about KRS-One is he always has something to say. And if it wasn't about violence, it was about education. Everything was educational about him, but just different things that some of us didn't know growing up. I've learned a lot from KRS-One. I'm not going to sit here in front. You know what I'm saying? So it was a whole lot like, wow. It's a lot of what he has to say is an eye opener, and especially to the youth coming up. You know what I mean? Some of us lived through certain things, and we have an idea of it. But I mean, he still can teach our youth till today. For those who are coming up who are unaware, you know what I mean? And that's the good thing about KRS-One. He's still out there. And I followed him the other day, on a live stream as, he went out there and he did a show and he did a little lecture. And I mean, I just appreciated it. Still to this day, he's still going. And that's why we call him a teacher. Does what he does.
Yeah, he continues to teach. I think, it was him. It was Stetsasonic was very conscious of what was going on. X-Clan, they're coming up in season 2. Yeah, we're gonna give y'all we're gonna talk about a few things, man, because we got some surprises for y'all next season, and we're getting ready to go into production for next season. So every season is gonna be 7 episodes, so that'll last 7 weeks. Then we're gonna try, and we're trying to coordinate it now, where we do a few live, giving them their flowers in between the production of the actual show. So I see one of the people in the chat, Cool Pen 40, had made a remark. He said, "What show are they talking about?" We have a show that plays previous to the live, Cool Pen. I think you're new to the room. So if you go to our YouTube channel, that's Craze the King of Content on YouTube, somebody might have to send you the link. But we have the whole season up there, all 7 episodes. Big Daddy Kane. Oh, there go my brother popping in. Hey, when you get settled, just give me the thumbs up and I'll bring you right on in, my brother. I don't even want to say your name, so they're just surprised. You know, when you're ready, just give me the thumbs up. I can't hear you, so all I could get is that. Okay. Oh man, popped in too. What up? Oh man, this is here we go, guys. Here we go. My brother Play. What's happening, Play from Kid and Play?
Grace and peace. What's up, my brother?
What's happening,
brothers, man? My brothers.
Steve, what up, brother?
That's crazy. So Play, man. First of all, thank you for joining the show. This is our finale. Last week we had you guys. We did we pay homage to you guys, of course, and then the week before that it was the Jungle Brothers. But tonight we ended the season with KRS-One. And real quick, before we get into your Kid and Play lineage, do you have any stories you can share with us about KRS-One?
Not
or shows
really.
or anything, y'all?
Not really. Me like everyone else. We it was interesting. When it was battle mode there and The Bridge Is Over came out. That was pretty much the talk of the streets. But what I would like to do is say what's up to my man C. Is like, dude, man. I mean, Queensbridge, Astoria projects, all of that.
Yes,
man.
sir. Man. What's going on, my brother? Good to see you, man.
Fight for sore eyes, but much respect due KRS-One, the whole 9, and everyone else. But no, I've never had the interaction with him on a fellowship tip before, so it's not really much I can say. Probably kids out there. Me, right. I'm the recruit. You know what I'm saying? So Kid probably got tales and stories and good stuff to share. But general respect though.
Right. So last week when we had DJ Wiz on, and he said to us, he's like, Play was more the businessman out of everybody. He kind of handled the business. What made you kind of take that role early?
I don't know. Coming up, I've always been an unintentional historian. I've watched the stories in particular where Kid and Play are concerned. We're in that duo column. Martin and Lewis, Hope. And
my brother Mike G. Mike G just popped in, guys.
Yo.
Brothers,
salute
in the building.
Yeah, respect, Mike.
Oh, no
Mike
doubt.
G, what up?
Yeah,
yo.
Man. So just watching the behind the scenes stories, I love documentaries about how these duos succeeded and how they failed. They're as it is, mostly we get caught up in the show part of the word show business. And we really don't concentrate on the business. And by the time most of us, unfortunately, start paying attention to it, it's usually too late. Maybe like our shelf life is over in the business, by the time we wise up. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't know. I've been a street hustler for a long time. So that DNA just came right on into it. You know what I'm saying? So it's the best way I can describe it.
So what were some of the things, I guess, you had to take on early as taking that position? Like, what are some of the things you felt you had to spearhead at that point? Because everything is so new to everybody, right? But I guess you had some kind of business sense.
No, my business sense was CeeLo, 456 head crack,
Okay, that's what it was.
Trips, all that. It's just, I like money, you know what I'm saying? And I like
no doubt.
So it's like, and don't get me wrong, we had managers, we had agents and all of that. I know a conversation Kid and I were having about our business. We were at some social event where there was a lot of well-known people in the room and in the building. And we were talking about finding the right manager or agent or accountant. It was something. It was a deep conversation in a very social place where there was a party going on. I can't remember who it was, but it was a famous individual that was eavesdropping, and he apologized for eavesdropping. He said, I hear what you guys are talking about. Let me give you a word to the wise. You're going to get ripped off in this business. The hardest thing you can do is find the person who's going to rip you off the lease. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that.
And who told you this?
I can't remember. It was somebody very well known, somebody that was popping at the time on TV or whatever. And that's why that never left me, because here's this person sharing that. They could have kept their pride and their ego to themselves, like nothing ever happened to them. But for them to share that, I wish I could remember who it was. But it blew me away when I heard that. He said, "Oh no, you're going to get ripped off. you just need to find the person who's going to do it the least."
Right.
Wow. I never forgot.
See who's going to be gentle.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man!
Don't touch me in the morning and just walk away. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, that's a good one.
So, you guys were very instrumental, and I guess ushering and I say a much cleaner type of image. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, because that's what, it's interesting. I don't judge cats that's doing what they do today. Some things are being taken too far, but I can't help it. We, and even my Jungle Brothers can attest for this and see in all of them, is like we had regulations, you put things on the radio that you could put on radio today. You know what I'm saying? So we had to be within those guidelines. But if those restrictions weren't there, I'm pretty sure we would have been, with the best of them. But, right. It wasn't until I never forget a trip, one of my many trips in LA, where someone put a cassette tape in and told me to check out these dudes. And I'm hearing like, yo, they're going ill, right. F the police and the whole nine. And that group was NWA. And they were doing theirs without any radio support. You know what I'm saying? At the time, right. we didn't have that kind of thing there. So, if you're going to get on BLS, Hot 97, any of those, you couldn't have what the lyrical content that you have today on there. So you're gonna deal with what the gatekeepers had going on. But I do not profess to be angels. I mean, you hang out with me after I wasn't on the mic or in the movies being regulated. I'm a curse. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure when people heard people who really knew us would hear people go, "Oh, these clean cut whatever guys." They're like, "Yeah, right." You know what I'm
saying? So did it take you by surprise how fast y'all rose in success?
Ain't no fast about it. It was no fast about it at all. I mean, we started out. First, we were in a group, and y'all did it brilliantly. I saw y'all's coverage and your spotlight on us. We started out in 2 different groups.
Right.
Kid was Turnout Brothers. I'm Super Lovers. We got so many doors slammed in our face. Me and Herbie in our group, we were working with Jelly Bean Benitez. We were working with John Jelly Bean Benitez.
Okay.
Who was famous for remixing everybody's hits. His girlfriend at the time was Madonna. We had a routine call where Super Lover MCs, not like the other MCs. It was off of Cat Stevens' was Dog a Donut. Jelly Bean Benitez loved this joint. He wanted to make it a record, but at the time, Cat Stevens became a monk. And we had to wait for him to come down off the mountains every 2 years to finally check on his business, to wait to ask him, can you have the rights to use his song? So that never came to fruition. Wow. So that was dreams deferred. Then we became Fresh Force. What was going on then? We were doing what you would call parodies off of hit records. Run DMC had My Adidas. We did a parody off of it called She's a Skeezer.
Right.
Falco's Rock Me Amadeus. We did a parody off of that called Rock Me. And there was a couple of others we did, but all of that took crazy time. I can't tell you how many times I quit and Kid said, don't give up. How many times Kid quit? And I said, we can't give up. And then finally, Herbie, with the success of Salt and Pepper, he was ready to do something new. And that new was Kid and Play. And then we changed our names from Fresh Force to Kid and Play, but we used to be on Sutra. Sutra was the same label that the Fat Boys was on. And Art Cass, I believe that was the owner of Sutra at the time. His media darlings was the Fat Boy. So we were like on the back burner, or we were good tax write-offs. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, all of that felt like forever, and it was forever. So finally, when we hooked up with Herbie and we did Last Night, we started getting a buzz. You know, that's when we used that conjoin and Invasion of the, I forgot what the name of that track was. All of that. So it wasn't no overnight success, nowhere near it, you know, but when it happened, it happened. You know, and even I'll never forget the record we thought was going to do it for us was Do This My Way. We just knew.
That was hard, though. That was hard.
Hold up. We knew. I mean, the work we put in, especially what Herbie put in a record, because he wanted to get some things out in the sample, in the loop, that normally anybody else wouldn't care about. So it almost made us all fight and break up, because this was getting ridiculous on how TDC was with the way he wanted to edit the sample. He won. He was right. We put it out. Thought it was it. But no one knew our good friends up the road, Rob Bass and Easy Rock, was going to come out with that It Takes Two. Same identical beat. Same beat. And Red Alert gonna show who he gonna show love to. It was a hot record. You can't front even the thing. It Takes Two is just a great, brilliant joint. But what was interesting about that was when that record came out and they would play it on the radio, it was only one record that it was perfect to mix it with. It was our record. Every time they started to mix it in there, it was time to go to the commercial break. Every time. So I think when we came out with Getting Funky, I felt radio people either subliminally, subconsciously, or consciously, you know what? That last one was a banger. This one's a banger too. Let's show them love this time. And then Getting Funky, you know, ushered us into the path of doing it. But then we had, Do This My Way had a music video, Getting Funky had a music video, but then when we did Rollin' with Kid and Play, I think the video won big with that, because everybody at the time could relate to a school, being in school, the lunchroom, the food fights, the gym antics, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what's up.
Hey, Mike G, while we got Mike G, I just want to ask him a few
questions.
Yo,
the Jungle Brothers in the building.
Girl, I'll house you.
Yo, listen, I remember when y'all rocked I remember when y'all rocked Union Square. Y'all was killing it at that time. It was nuts.
Yeah.
That was like, I think it was like a school night for me.
Wow.
Yeah, that was, oh man, I remember those days.
Union Square and Latin Quarter.
Yeah. Y'all like y'all stamped the time.
Man,
that was great.
Jungle Brothers though, girl, I'll house you. Come on, man. Play it. You know?
Oh man, we just try to have fun with it.
Hey, that was so. What was your thoughts, Mike G, about Kid and Play at the time they came out, and vice versa? Play, what was your thoughts about the Jungle Brothers when you first heard them? So I'm gonna ask Mike G about you, and then vice versa.
Well, I think I mean when they first came out, they was fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like Play said, when we came out, it was a code. Like nobody was trying to be like one another. Everybody had their own identity, sound, style. You know what I'm saying? You could quickly identify and see where they were from. You know, I mean, I always tell people, yo, we grew up in the greatest time period in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, we couldn't have timed it better to be dropped on the earth during that time to be able to create and enjoy hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but you know, back to it, like I said, when they jumped, and then we already kind of felt what Herbie was doing. I mean, it was all in pocket, man. It was all in pocket. It was super clean, and it was definitely dope because, to be honest, y'all kind of made it easy for us, because my grandmother would listen to the songs when she listened to Red, and she'd be like, "Okay, yeah, them dudes they clean, you know what I'm saying? They tight, you know." It's like, okay, but what about us? It's like, oh, y'all rhyming about Jim Browski and all. It's like,
right.
So, but it was dope, man. I mean, the fun aspect of that time period, which Kid and Play brought. Salt and Pepper. I mean, just that good, thorough, good feeling. You know what I'm saying? That's what I enjoyed the most about that whole time period.
Right. And Play?
I reflect the same thing right back, because I remembered seeing their music videos and how they weren't scared to be unique. you know, and that's what was going on at that time, along with what he's saying. It was about, like, you know, I'm not trying to shoot shots fired on what I'm about to say next. Is that when I listen to the radio now, I can't tell one artist from another. I didn't even realize that last record ended. I thought it was still going on. You know, but this right here, when you listen to the radio, you knew who the Jungle Brothers were. You knew who Heavy D was. You knew who Tribe Called Quest was. Everybody had their uniqueness. And if anything, it was iron sharpening iron. I just posted something recently where I was giving an ode to a picture that I had taken of me, Herbie, and Kid. But I had said at the end of my comment, I'm on _playgrounds on Instagram, that I also want to thank all of our rivals. Because, you know, back then it was definitely rivaling, but not to the point of fighting, but who was just going to outdo each other on something of uniqueness. And I was speaking to Dougie Fresh about this. I'm producing his documentary now. And we're talking about something that we, in our discussion, do you remember how bad it was if someone said you were biting their style?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
If they proved it, it was the end of your career, pretty much.
Yeah,
Words. What does that mean today? So going back to the Jungle Brothers, the uniqueness, their signature, their, what do you call it? That's that word that I don't subscribe too much. They would call it the brand today.
Oh, yeah.
Their style. You know what I'm saying? Just this was the Jungle Brothers. This is what you wore if you down with the Jungle Brothers. This was the style. Right. This was the fun. You know, they did
fun, no doubt.
Video they did where they I ain't gonna say mock, where they recreated going down the Soul Train line. You know, all of that. Come on now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just dope. Just dope. Just you know what I'm saying?
Now what I do want to say, and I always say this when I get people to come on the show, you have to understand where I'm at right now. So like the history in all these boxes right here is crazy. First of all, right? And second of all, I was about 14, maybe 15 when most of y'all music came out and I was listening to it at that time. So for me to be able to sit back and do my homework, put these shows together as a fan, to just pay homage and show you guys love, but to hear it firsthand now, it just takes me to a whole nother space. So I say all of that to say, when I was 14, watching Kid and Play, and like, first of all, one of the main influences was, of course, Kid's haircut. You know, that made everybody want to get the high top fade. You know what I'm saying? But I always liked how you guys kind of gelled with one another. It always seemed like y'all was having fun. It always, like every time I saw y'all in a video or interview or something back then, you guys, so how good of a friends were you guys before the music is my question.
Well, that's what I speak on in our interviews, especially when it pertains to House Party. You know, no shots fired, what I'm about to say next. But Kid and I weren't brought together from a casting call. We literally grew up together. He could finish my sentence. I could finish his sentences in business dealings. If I'm not able to make it on a conference call or whatever, he knows I know him. You know what I'm saying? So it's authentic. It's organic. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't something that was put together, like I said, from a casting call. So it was legit, and it still is this day. The only thing now, when people, you know, when there has been a time where there's been like a significant amount of time where we haven't been together, people are quick, like, what did y'all do? You know, break up? I said, no, we didn't break up. We grew up. You know, he loves LA. I love New York. You know what I'm saying? We can't hang out on the corner no more together like we once did. And that would be suspect anyway, being grown men out on the corner. But
crazy.
All of that being said, it's like, and we really did love the music. We really did love the culture. Like Mike said, it was being in places like the World, Latin, Union Square, wherever there was a party at, we lived for it. We would put our lives on the line to be, even if it was in a territory we had no business being. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be remiss again when it comes to Casanova Rudd and Super Lover C.
Woo!
And that Girls I Got 'Em Locked.
Woo!
That track, that ruled the sum as far as rap. You had Fonda Ray with Over Like a Fat Rat.
Oh man,
all those songs around those times. But when that record came on, that frustrated me personally because these guys, now you want to talk about who had their hair together. Their hair, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, you had us beat, man.
You know what I'm saying? No, later, kid with that Jack and the Beanstalk high top, but y'all had it was cool. And I'm not just telling you what I think you want to hear. I'm coming from the heart, giving you as well. But no, those would, like Mike said, those are times that'll never come back. It's a different planet now, different atmosphere, different world. And I just cherish the pictures. I cherish the videos I could see from that. But no, it's gone. But hopefully who we're subliminally passing the torch to can give something to a new generation. I think it's returning in its own way. You know what I'm saying? But though the best way I can describe those times was it was magic. And yes, Kid and I's relationship was, is, and forever will be authentic. You know.
And Mike, was it the same with you and Africa and Sammy?
Yeah, and I met Sammy first. And then one of my first year in high school, that's when I met Bam. So it's like, it was really, you know, that transition when you leaving junior high, you're going on the big things, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to figure out the rest of your life. So with me and Sammy, it's like we spent crazy summers together. Before I went to high school, 2 solid, crazy summers. And then once I got to high school, I met Bam and we just went on a whirlwind, you know what I'm saying? And it was, we were solid, you know what I'm saying? Because me, even though Red was doing the radio thing, and I was still a fan, man. You know what I'm saying? I never really envisioned going after being a hip hop star or whatever. I just was happy to be part of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Being able to exploit the rhymes that I had written from like 5th grade or whatever. After Red bringing home the tape from Harlem World and all these places. You know what I'm saying? So, man, but yeah. Those guys know, man, it's all love all the time, man. But yo, just one thing, I gotta double up on what Play was saying. Yo, Super Lover, man. I done seen some joints. I mean, you done turn crickets into wild beasts. Oh
we
man,
go way back to the Latin Quarter days, man.
Oh my goodness,
we did a lot of hang out in the Latin Quarters.
Woo!
Mike G and the crew.
Woo!
I appreciate you, brother.
Man. I tell a lot of people, I was like, yo, man, we need a bigger bouquet of flowers for you, man. Right. Word up, man. Oh man, but man, I enjoyed that time, man. That's all I can say. I'm just happy to be here. I really enjoyed everything that you're doing, Craig. Man.
You know, this is a long time coming, man, because I told you about this show about over a year ago. I'm like,
no doubt.
You know,
no doubt.
It's just, I think for me, I started, you know, just give y'all a little background. I started a documentary series called The Untold Story of. And this is because in 2012, I started looking for documentaries on hip hop because I'm like, okay, where's the history? Like the bricklayers. I consider you guys like bricklayers, you know, like, and then we have the street. And so everybody had their brick that they laid in the foundation of hip hop. So when I started looking for documentaries and things like that, there was really nothing out there, you know. And I'm like, wow, how they don't have a documentary on K-Solo? How they don't have one on Nice and Smooth? How they don't have one on Kid and Play? How they don't have one on Super Love the Sea? How they don't have one on, you know, the Jungle Brothers? So in my mind at that time, it's just like, I said, so you know what? Maybe I should do it. And so this is how I got to giving them their flowers. But I started off doing a documentary series, an hour long, just exploring the careers of some of my favorite artists, which were you guys. Seriously, I listened and I danced and I kicked it to chicks to all of your music. You know what I'm saying? So what was it like, Play, what was it like for you to hear your record for the first time on the radio? Can you remember that? What's that feeling like?
Man, I'll never forget it because the day that I heard it was the day my father was getting ready to kick me out of the house.
Wow.
For good. Yeah, he was tired of my antics. I'm putting it nicely by using the word antics. But he was sitting me down. You know, we were going through a real rough period in life. So this right here was his calm way of telling me I had to go. And right when he was telling me that, for those of us who are old enough to remember, our entertainment systems, the ones we usually had back then, they were all in one. The cassette player, the record player, the radio was all one unit. So if anything went wrong with any one of those parts of the unit, you had to put the whole system in to get it fixed because they were all connected. So anyway, as he's getting ready to do this, I'm hearing our record last night. But I'm thinking maybe someone, back then in those systems, you had the cassette tape, and when the cassette went all the way to the end, it would flip over to the other side automatically. So I'm thinking maybe when he started to give me this speech, that maybe the end of the tape was silent and it flipped over. So I'm looking, trying to respect him, but I'm side-eyeing over to the system, and I'm seeing the tape ain't winding. Ain't no tape in the machine. It's the radio station playing. And I lost my mind. I interrupted his speech. He thought something was wrong. He's like, what? That's my record. And just like you see in television shows and in movies, you're running outside. Nobody can be found. It's like you're the only one seeing this UFO, and nobody's going to believe you. But come to find out, kid was in his car. He did hear it. Herbie heard it. All of us heard it. But needless to say, my father put more time on not kicking me out the house. This T-bop, rebop, beat-up crap, they were calling it, looked like it's doing a little something.
Oh, man.
Literally, my father was ready to kick me out of the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Mike G, when was now I know yours was more of a promo, but take us back to the first time you heard your single on the radio, and it wasn't on not Hot 97, but Kiss FM.
Yeah. Now, well, that was the very first time. I never forget, man. It was I forget. I was going somewhere, man, and I was I wasn't sure about what I needed to do. It was like kind of that last hurrah. Right. I never forget though. I remember I walked out the building and like I just heard the cab going down 7th Avenue, and it was the horns. I heard the horns first. I heard the horns before I even saw the car, and it was like, damn. Wow. And I was like, oh shit. I was stuck for a while, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't fanboy myself, so I was like, I was just stuck. Because Red never really told us when he was gonna play something or what he really liked. He always kind of kept it a mystery. He always had his own little flavor and way about playing records and everything. So, it was a surprise, man. But I mean, the first time we even like finished recording and played it out loud for a couple of people, I was in awe, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing people enjoy the music, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I was just such a fan of the culture, you know what I'm saying? From the times in the lunchroom to the times in the arcade, watching kids b-boy, cats bringing the boxes out, we rhyming, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
So my question to play, I'm gonna just bounce back to both of y'all so we could keep the conversation going. So what was it like actually working with somebody like Herbie? You said he was very meticulous, but creatively, were you guys able to kind of work with Herbie, or was it mostly his creativity that brought it to your lyrics?
No, it wasn't nothing like the dynamics with him and Salt and Pepper, because we already he didn't have to reinvent the wheel with us. We was already doing our thing with Fresh Force. We had already had joints out. We were working a lot. We did Latin Quarter so many times, it wasn't even funny. A lot of people don't give Philly the props that it deserves in regards to how Philly really was supporting hip hop. Philly was the place Lady B that put rap on FM rotation before New York did. So we were
say that again.
Philly, Lady B. She was the first one that got hip hop played on FM radio in main rotation, regular rotation. Philly,
wasn't Mr. Magic
before New York ever did. Even Fly Ty will admit to that. She was doing that before Mr. Magic and all of that. So we were doing a lot of gigs in Philly, a lot of gigs in Jersey, a lot of gigs in New York, and believe it or not, Ohio. Believe it or not. So when it was time for us to get together with Herbie, he didn't have to reinvent the wheel, like, starting from scratch with us. We knew some things. We were doing some things. He was more like what you would call the polisher, or like the interior decorator. You got the right drapes, you got the right carpet, you got the right couches. Let's put this over here, put that over there, use this color, stuff like that. We were really like the kid put it in an interview recently we did with Tavis Smiley, saying that we were like superheroes. Everybody in the camp was, just like I'm sure in other crews. Me with the fashions, drawing, the gear, ideas for music videos and stuff like that. Kid being a wordsmith, writing. Herbie with the music, but we all had say so in all of those different areas. So we worked and functioned like an assembly line, so to speak. We helped the girls out with a lot of things. I did the girls' jackets. I did their fashions in a lot of their videos. Kid did some singing. Let's talk about sex. At the end, when you hear the scatting, that's Kid. You hear some of the rhymes. He wrote some of the rhymes. You know, it was all and we had this thing when it was about the girls getting them where they belong. The next was Kid and Play. The next was Dana Dane. Then it was Kwame, BT. All of that was on purpose. All that was said out loud. Who was next? Almost like Motown. A little bit like Motown. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know. So no, Herbie was wise enough, just like Reggie Hudlin with the movies, to say, you know what? How would you say it? How would you express it? And let's polish it. That's how it was.
And for you, Mike, how was it? Was it any different for you working with Red? Like, did you and the group have more of your creative, your sound, the way y'all wanted to do things, or was Red more instrumental in putting together the sound of the group to match what you're talking about?
No, not really. He saw the direction we were going with the different break beats and stuff like that. He would dig more and kind of point us in a direction. But Bam was more of like the collector. He would pull out certain records, and I was always writing, and Bam was always writing. So I think the sound of it really came. I think it came from a combination of everybody. Red would show his direction. Bam would beat up that 4-second sampler we had in the room, and then we would just make routines like old school style, you know what I'm saying? And then we would just flow, and we always kept in mind about live performance. We always wanted to make sure that whatever we did, it's going to be dope live.
Right. So there's a few questions in the room I want to get to. Kid, the first question is to you. How did you guys come up with the Kid and Play kick step? Someone asked that in the room.
That came out of urgency. When it was time for that transition for us to start doing things live, a lot of our live shows in New York always involved dancer friends of ours in our music videos and all of that. But when it was time to take it on the road, that wasn't in the budget. Promoters weren't trying to hear that. So now we know that we had worked up such a reputation and such a visual of dancing. Now we had to rap and dance. So we was working, one of the groups we work with was a group called Nonstop that had Swatch, Little Bit, and Hi-Hat. Hi-Hat went on to be very well known to be the choreographer for a lot of Missy Elliott's music videos, and at the same time, other music videos as well. So, you know, it was just about brainstorming, like getting together saying, yo, this is a dilemma. What can we do? And out of kick step, you know, it was similar to something they were doing in our Getting Funky video, but it wasn't quite it, but it was almost like something inspired out of that. So that's how that came about. We had to come up with dances to do because we knew the audiences, like Mike was talking about, live performances was everything. You know, we're coming from off our mom and pops, watching the Temptations, watching all these groups that do their thing. Their live thing was everything. So our version in hip hop was we had to bring it. You know what I'm saying? So it was out of urgency.
Okay. And Mike G, there's a question to you. And then someone asked, did the Jungle Brothers introduce De La and Tribe? Did you guys actually introduce them to the world, De La and Tribe?
No. We introduced, I want to say we introduced Tribe, or really Q-Tip at the time. But De La, they were already on their own mission through Tommy Boy, and they were kind of already on their way.
Okay. And Super Lover C, there was a question for you, and it said, let me get to it. Sorry. They want to know how you met Rud.
Me and Rud grew up together, man, back in Astoria, Queens, and we met in the projects. I remember being out there first. He moved there a couple of years later. We played a lot of football together. We were both football fans. And from there, we created this group called the Future Four. It was actually four of us before it broke down to Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd. Another fun fact about that name is it wasn't even Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd. It was MCC and DJ Spinbad, actually.
Oh, wow.
All right. Until we got signed. I think just before we got signed, we kind of had to come up with something a little bit more creative than just MCC and DJ Spinbad. But it was at that time we came together as Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd.
Okay. And then I noticed something that all of you guys kept saying tonight, and maybe we could expand on it just a little more. Play, I'm going to start with you. Hip hop was so important in New York at that time. We really had our own vibe, and we was really, for me, as a young teenager, 14, 13, I felt like we were spearheading the whole movement. But one thing that keeps coming up in all your conversation is this damn Latin Quarters. How important was the Latin Quarters in 88, 87, 85, at that time? How significant is it to hip hop?
I want to direct, if people are really interested in that, there's a book that Paradise came out, and it's photographs, rare photographs and stuff from the Latin Quarter. It's anybody who collects hip hop paraphernalia or history books or whatever, a library, that needs to be in your collection.
Without question.
Those and all of those books that come along with it. But anyway, that was a place to be. It was interesting though, because the dynamics in that place would be so all over the place. Talk about ambivalent of emotions, because there'd be the performance itself. If someone was performing on that high stage way above your head, then it'd be on the floor. The cypher's going to happen. Of course, the guy's going to be looking for the ladies. Ladies is, do their thing with the guys. But then there's that time of the night where it's like, all right, the bum rush. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man,
Master DC,
get out the way, huh?
Master DC would
when that Stetzer came on, you heard that Stetzer.
Oh, go Stetzer, all of those joints, and it's like,
man,
you had to have your head on swivel.
Man.
I ain't gonna mention no names on who was the leaders in those joints. But, so
we know who the leaders were.
Yeah, you had a lot of high points. You had a lot of euphoric moments, but then you also had your heart is in your throat type.
No doubt.
We kept coming back. We kept coming back.
Right.
We kept coming back, and ain't no telling whoever was the flavor of the month from Beef Fats with the WAP.
Oh yeah,
Flash. I'll never forget one time when Flash and them came through. It must have been payday, because every one of them came up in a Benz, the 190 Benz. Everybody, each member of the group came up. I think they was all white, and I never coming up that coming up in front of the joint at that time. But it was so many emotions, a gamut of emotions took place. But you came back next week. You came back. You
wouldn't miss it.
Oh, it wasn't down. There's phrases in hip hop that live in infamy. In the place to be. It was the place to be.
Oh man.
And so Greg Wirtz said Tuesday nights was fire. I guess at Latin Quarter. Was that the night?
Tuesday night? Say so, probably.
He said if you say so, probably.
No, because you had USA Roller Skating Ring in Queens. You had Skate Key in Jersey, or was that in Jamaica Avenue? I think that was it. You had, of course, the Latin Quarter. We already mentioned the World.
Union Square.
Disco Fever kind of phased out at that time, I believe. But yeah, you wanted to know where the party was at. And you had laces. You had
Bentleys.
Yeah, Bentleys.
Really sharp.
Yeah, you had laces.
It was different days of the week.
Yeah,
it was actually different days of the week. Yeah.
Island, laces up in Long Island, Jamaica, Long Island. You had Encore in Jamaica, Queens. The biggest thing were the park jams. It was the park jams. The park jams.
So the park jams was the thing. So Now, there's been a lot of, I guess there's been a lot of back and forth about and so I want you to clear it up for me about the movie House Party. And so I had interviewed Reginald Hudlin.
Right.
And he kind of alluded to the fact that the movie, you could clear it up. I'm just gonna say what it is, and then you tell me what your thoughts are. So he alluded to the movie being a movie that was kind of patterned off of Groovy Chill, but they wanted to do something with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, but they couldn't because of some kind of lawsuit. And then he said he was watching Video Music Box, and you guys' videos just kept coming and coming and coming. And so he said, I need to get these guys. Is that how it falls?
No, bullseye. All I can do is put more flesh to it. His friend was Groovy Chill.
We're getting a lot of feedback. I don't know whose phone that is.
I'm not on.
It might be Mike's.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
What happened was their homeboy, so to speak, was Groovy Chill.
Right.
But business is business. So they ended up no. What ended up happening was, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying that, because it was trying to work against Kid and I, not Groovy Chill necessarily. Right. What it ended up happening was they got introduced to us through, Video Music Box and all of that, and they really wanted us.
Mm-hmm.
It morphed into that. We would always run into them, and C and Mike can attest for this. It was nothing like the holiday parties back then that the independent labels would throw. Those parties, like, superb. I mean, the women, forget about it. Anyway, we would run into them, and we didn't know they had a can of paint. They were like, yo, we working on the script for this movie. We want you guys to do it. I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because imagine being in a movie. I never even thought about it. I didn't even think about making music videos. So anyway, we kept running into them, and they would keep giving us updates on how their script is coming along and who they have a meeting with. And we're like, yeah, right, whatever. I was against doing the movie because that point was because, again, what Wiz said, me being the business-minded person, I'm looking at the track record of rappers in movies, and it wasn't so at that time.
Right.
And a lot of people don't remember or know Run DMC did a movie, and that movie was called Tougher Than Leather. And the reason why you don't know about that movie is because that movie didn't do very well. So I'm like, if Run DMC can't do a hit movie, who the heck is Kid and Play to think they could do a movie?
Right.
Well, the friendship that Herbie and Kid and I had was majority rules. They outvoted me. Let me say before it even got to that point. So Reggie and Warrington, we meet them again at a party. They said they got a meeting with, I believe it was New Line Cinema.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time for us to go. New Line Cinema is at least willing to meet us. But it ends up being this impromptu thing where they want to shout out things and for me and Kid to act like these scenarios that they call out. Kid and I thought we did miserable. We thought, like, it ain't going to happen. It's time for school to let out. This is happening in Midtown Manhattan. Whatever school was around there, one of the VIPs was courteous enough to say, let me walk you guys downstairs. I didn't have lunch yet. Let me go get lunch. I'll walk y'all down. When he walked us down, school was letting out. Mm-hmm. Music video, MTV, all of that. The kids went crazy. They mobbed us like we were the Beatles or the Jackson 5. The VIP went back upstairs to tell his partners, no, we need to get these guys. They're it. But what was also going on in the meantime was to hedge their bet, show business, New Line Cinema, they did know about Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. However, they just happened to have been suing them for a record that Jeff and them had called Nightmare on My Street. New Line Cinema owns Nightmare on Elm Street. So that's why they were suing them. So Jeff and Will is like, you want us to do a movie and you suing us, get out of here with that. But in the meantime, they already were sold on us now because they saw the reaction of the kids in the street in this New York moment where we literally got mobbed. That's what happened. So Reggie wasn't off. He was. So that's what ended up happening. You know.
Got you. So Mike G.
Yeah.
You guys come out with a few records. One of my favorites was I'm gonna do you, whoa, whoa, whoa. That was my joint, that beat, just everything with that. But what was your favorite Jungle Brothers record and why? Do you have a favorite? And Play, I'm asking you the same thing about your Kid and Play catalog. Do you have a favorite record?
Wow, during Straight Out the Jungle was like the record. That was the album, because that was the transition. That was the life right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do you, the Straight Out the Jungle, the On the Run. That was the lifestyle. So it's really hard to pick a record off that album. I'd have to say just really the album itself. And another thing too is like we try to tailor the album so it'd be a straight play. Like once you listen to the first one, you listen all the way to the end. You know what I'm saying? So that's a tough one. But I'm gonna do you definitely is top 5 to say the least.
Right.
My favorite performance record of Kid and Play would be Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody. And the reason why is we start our show with that. I remember when I was putting our live show together, and Kid wasn't feeling that. He's like, because normally you do your hits last. And I'm like, nah, we need to put that one first, because that's going to set the mood for the rest of the show. And it's going to set the tone. It's going to set the level, all of that stuff. And it ended up being true. So that's my favorite performing record. My favorite personal record is a record one not too many people would know. It's called Toe to Toe. And I think it might have been on Funhouse. But we ended up doing a remix of it and a guy named Dana Mosley was the one who remixed it. But I love that record. It's called Toe to Toe. And basically it's an ode to us dancing. But that's the one that comes to mind whenever anybody asks me that question. But like Mike said, there's so many that mean and do so many different things to people that's, unique for that particular moment in a show or in a party or whatever. I think, I never forget, hanging out with Brand Nubian, and we did a show with them. And they said, all I know, we were talking about what our lineup was, what everybody was going to do. And they said, all I know is you guys better do Last Night. A lot of people on that. The only thing I regret about Last Night is I wish we would have did a video for that one.
Man.
Yeah, for that one. Yeah.
Right. And Mike,
the lyrics on it was dope though, because y'all painted the picture of a straight Union Square night though. That thing was on point.
Brooklyn
was on point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how, I guess, since we're talking lyrics, how true were the lyrics at that time to your lifestyle? Was it more like y'all was just writing about the fun part of your lives, or was it y'all added some sauce to it just to make it a record? One of the biggest things is people always kind of say is how real are the artists to what they're saying? And so how real was you guys to what we actually saw?
Last Night would be an adventure, a Kid and Play adventure, and some more homeboys in the mix. I mean, we call it Late Night in the Butchkas. Some people would call it creeping, all of that stuff. But no, that definitely was some Cooley High stuff that, we know all so well. As far as anything else, I think, the first thing that comes to my mind, our thing was Party. So yeah, it would be true to life. Yeah, I mean, I there was others that don't quickly come to mind, but as far as something that had some kind of journey to it or a storyline to it, yeah, it was. Did it happen exactly how it was? No, like in a movie, you do editing and stuff like that, but the essence of it was definitely true to form, our antics, yeah.
Right. And Mike, with the Jungle Brothers, you guys are I guess sanctioned as pulling in this genre of music, for being the forefathers of this type of sound. Not only that, but also being charged with founding and starting the native tongues. So where did all that come from? And how did you guys know that was the way to move? I mean, you guys will kind of enter into a territory that really wasn't there, and to get other people, like you said before, right? Everybody had their own sound and their own look and their own feel, but it wasn't a lot of guys that was coming together to create this kind of movement. I don't think at that time. Everybody was like a duo, like Kid and Play or EPMD or Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd. So how did you guys take the egos out of it to get together to say, hey, let's try this?
No, I think it came from the I want to say the true architects of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? The Cold Crush brothers and the Force MCs and those
Right.
cats, because those are the cats that we really was listening to early on. Those were the champions. You know what I'm saying? Those were the kings, to say the least. And what the DJs were doing. I mean, it was really that time frame that, like, I want to say it was at like 77 to like 83. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Before I think the range started really changing as far as like what was that Sugar Hill Gang. Their record came on the radio. Then the plateau of hip hop started changing a little bit. I think B-Fats was a little bit later, but I mean, early on when hip hop was just in the parks and in the community centers, that's where we saw the blueprint, and that's where we learned from. You know what I mean? And then coming up, seeing Kid and Play, in the jams, watching, Super Lover C, just experiencing that whole time frame. Because although, I mean, so I'm not gonna show my age, but I can clearly remember it was like 77, 78. I'm in Bronx River with Red, literally like sleep on my feet. But when I saw Furious 5 jump up on the stage at Bronx River Center, I was like, I was in awe. It was all attention. It was like, this is the best hip hop class ever. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the basis of definitely Jungle Brothers, what we do. And that was it, man. Those are our teachers right there. Those guys. Cosmic Force, Soul Sonic Force, Jazzy 5. Like I said before, Force MCs before they were the Force MDs.
Right.
That's the blueprint for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I know Sammy as well, and same with Bam, but it was a little bit different because he was all the way in Bay Ridge, so he didn't really have that connection. But that was it, man. Dougie, you know what I'm saying? I remember watching Dougie and Slick Rick rocking Central Park. You know what I'm saying? I seen them rock dozens of block parties. Him going to what's my man? Eminard, and it was Rob Bass, and there was another guy. These guys used to battle in the YMCA up on 135th Street. I mean, those was the days, man. That's those are the unknown bricks. Those are the boulders. You know what I'm saying? Those are the real boulders that all is standing on easily for New York hip hop.
So I have a couple of questions, but one is from Twizzler Roots, and he says, "Kid and Play verse Nice and Smooth on verses to celebrate." Would you consider something like that on Play? Doing a verse?
When people bring that up, because of the probably not as big a catalog as the other people they've had on there, I think they need to do like a generational thing where on this side is 4 or 5 artists or groups, and on the other side is 4 or 5 artists and groups, and make it a medley or a montage of that one side representing a certain era and another side representing another era. But in regards to his question right there, Nice and Smooth, man, come on, man. You're like, yo, I might get going to town on that one. You know what I'm saying? So it really just depends. But no, them cats got bangers, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I'd rather be with them against someone than to be against them. That's my personal feeling on it. But I don't like using the word fan, because fan is short for the word fanatic, and I think it's to be a fanatic for Christ. But to be a supporter, to be a lover of one's work, the relationship we have with Nice and Smooth is just priceless. You know, I'm in awe to know who I know. You know, the 7 or 8 or 12-year-old Christopher Martin would be in awe to see that I'm kicking it with these cats that I've seen their music videos. I'm talking about in the show we're on right now.
Right.
You know, I'm telling you, and I'm not just telling him what I think he wants to hear. That girls are got him locked. That's you didn't mess with that record, man. You didn't mess. These cats were good.
Oh man, yeah.
You know, like what Wesley Snipes would say, pretty MFers. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? It's like I don't want to go on after them. You know what I'm saying? And Jungle,
no doubt.
The whole party groove and just that spirit that was about it. But I think whenever people speak to me about verses, I think when you're dealing with groups from that era, they might not have 20 long hits catalog, you know, put them together and let it go, you know, genre against genre, era against era.
That would be dope, yeah.
That would be dope. That's an interesting concept. Yeah. You said that. Yeah.
Definitely. And so Play, there's another question for you in here, and it's can you ask Play about Marcus Miller's score in House Party when Kid kisses Sydney? I can't find it anywhere. That's
you know, we had the privilege about a month or two ago to perform with the Philharmonic Orchestra in LA. It was a program that Reggie produced, and it was a tribute to Black cinema. And Marcus Miller was the musical director of the whole thing. And that cat, he's just a beautiful cat, man. And just, you know, the other day I was listening to the Love Jones soundtrack and just hearing his participation in that. So that's something I would have to ask him, because normally when you get the score or the soundtrack to something, that would be in it. But I think I know what that person's talking about. It's a real nice mood music in that scene. And I don't remember it being a solo piece on anything. So that's an interesting question. And if the spirit brings me to mind the next time I'm around him, I would definitely ask, because I'm sure he has it somewhere in the archives. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Cool. And we got a question from Mike. Ask Mike who produced JB's Coming Through and what song was it sampled from?
We never tell the samples. but Baby Bam produced that. He's the lead production on that, and Red definitely he mixed it.
Okay. Cool.
And then shout out to my man Greg Mann too, who definitely helped us mix it down in the well hidden Apollo recording studios.
Make sure y'all hit those like buttons when y'all come into the room. Get your questions ready. Play, I have another question for you, and it's actually from me. But before I even say that, C, you got anything you want to ask the brothers? You've been quiet tonight as my co-host.
Oh man, I always learn so much about things that I wasn't privy to in the culture, man. As far as especially the creative side of it all, Mike G, his crew, and Herbie Lovebug, man. So we heard a lot of stuff about how much time was put into a lot of the work, especially Kid and Play and the kick steps and the dances and the production, and how they took care of one another too, as far as the groups. So it's always just a privilege to sit back sometimes, man, because as you're learning this craze, I'm learning it as well. You know what I'm saying? So I know I sit sometimes with you second year, but this is great, man. This is great stuff, and it's always good to see my brothers, man.
So Play, let me ask you this question. At a time there was and I asked Wiz this too. Did you guys ever bump heads with Salt-N-Pepa?
No, not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. No? We just had a great time about a week ago because we was out in LA with them for the big ceremony with their star being put on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But no, never ever. I mean, we've all gone our ways in regards to growing up. All of us have been married. All of us have been divorced. All of us started businesses. Some of us closed businesses. All of that. But as far as whenever it's time for that, we've done so much television stuff with them recently, from What's that thing? So You Want to Be a Millionaire? I think it was that one, and we just recently did a Harvey's Family Feud together.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's never been a time where there's been any kind of issues among us. Everybody's just going through their challenges in life individually, but nothing in regards to involving each other or anything that went crazy. No, not at all.
So there was a time that did it ever? And I also asked Wiz this. Shout out to DJ Wiz. Shout out to DJ Sammy B that's in the chat. Mike G, if you want to slide him the link to come in the room, you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
If he's available.
He's a secret agent.
So Play. With Salt dating Herbie, did that ever kind of mess things up with business at all with you guys? Because I know at one point they had their own separate issues, but did it ever affect y'all?
Nah, because at that time, it was interesting what was happening with Kid and I. Kid and I began to pioneer into uncharted territory. We, at that time, no one was, to my knowledge, was having a successful music career and a movie career at the same time. So when a lot of that was going on, the movie part of our career was taking place a lot, which didn't involve Herbie a lot because Herbie's thing was music. He didn't really know anything about movie making and the politics and the dynamics that took place with that. So as couples go through what couples go through, to survive and that don't survive, we got wind of what was going on. Salt and I have always been great, great close friends, but you just went to know when to be in it and to when to stay out of it. So, I think not only Kid and Play, but Sweet Tea, Kwame, Dana Dane, all of us, I think we navigated through that pretty cool in regards to, let's just put it to you like that. Most of our careers, if not all of our careers, was on cruise control, So at that point, you didn't have to have too much hands-on at that time, But no, not that I can remember.
Right. Now, Mike, with Red Alert being your uncle, of course, and being a staple in New York radio, a pioneer in New York radio, was it at all when Hot 90? No, I don't want to say Hot 97 because that's what it is today. So I'm gonna say Kiss FM and BLS when they were at odds. Was it ever anything with your music not being able to be played on WBLS because of the association with Red?
Just a little bit. I think once Our House You broke, it kind of broke down the barriers a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But early on, it was all bets off because it was more of a hip hop world. But I mean, we was getting love from all other places, so it really didn't. It didn't really, it didn't mess with us at all.
Right.
We enjoyed it, and we was rocking 3-4 times a week, 3 times a night. You know what I'm saying? It's like you didn't even feel the pain, to say the least.
I want to say hello to Kalila. She just brought up an interesting record that Salt and Pepper and Kid and Play did together. So I want to shout her out.
This is it right there, right?
I hope I said her name correctly. Kalila. I think that's what it. Kalila Cindy.
Yep. And she said, "Yo, let me kick it to you like this. It's not that I don't miss your kiss. I really no. Let me stop."
Yeah. Somebody coming in the middle of that, they're like, "What is this crazy talking to?"
I know.
Yeah, that was a record we did call "I Really Don't Know," and it was like us experimenting with the mixture of theater to a track where it's about couples going through, and that's one of the lines that's being interacted between. Right. I think it was I was matched up with Salt, it was matched up with Pepper, and Wiz was matched up with Spinderella. So that's the way the theater went on that particular record. Yeah.
That was cool. So Mike G, my question to you is, you guys was very instrumental in that whole sound, and that's what I was saying before. And then that sound cultivated groups like De La Soul, Black Sheep, Leaders of the New School, and that whole collective of what you guys had. I think a lot of people always wonder, why didn't the Native Tongues go further than what they did?
It was. I think it was a lot of label politics. I think we were getting pulled apart to a certain extent. You know, it was
What
three
you mean
different
by getting pulled
labels.
apart?
Well, you know, Tommy Boy had their agenda for De La, Jive had their agenda for Tribe, and Warner's had their agenda for us, and they wasn't gonna see eye to eye, or they wasn't gonna share. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a bit of that, you know, and a bit of growing pains for all of us in our groups. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was more or less like they couldn't figure out how to. I mean, we couldn't even as groups, we couldn't really figure out how to make native tongues work and take it to the next step. So, I mean, it falls on us at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But I think
I always watch a lot of these interviews, and I hear y'all talk about the native tongues and if it could have been this and if it could be that, but I never really heard anybody ask why. Like, why didn't it go beyond that one record? Like, really, because that's kind of what we heard. Like, that was. Could you say that was the introduction to what we would have got from you guys?
Yeah, no doubt, without question. But like I said, you know, it was 3 different contracts, 3 different labels, what 9 different egos, if you want to call it, or dreams of the way things could be and should be. You know what I'm saying? So imagine. I mean, I know Play can attest. Imagine a group with 3 people, even though y'all good friends, but y'all know not always gonna see eye to eye. So you try to get 9 people in a room and try to figure out what to do. You know, it was kind of difficult. I don't think like we didn't see what it could have been at that time because there was no real example. You know, there was no Wu-Tang Clan, or there just wasn't a blueprint for that. You know, and I think we just really didn't. We couldn't see the moment. You know what I'm saying? We made good music, but I think we couldn't as groups and as people, brothers and sisters, we couldn't see the future and where it could go. And you know, we all, like I said, we all had a destination. You know what I'm saying? We all had things that we thought, or the route that we thought that we should take, and we took it. And that's what it is, you know. But the legacy is alive and well. You know what I'm saying? So without that, you know.
Right, for sure. One of the things is I read somewhere where Pharrell said that you guys' album, I believe your first album, or one of the albums, but I want to credit it to the first album as being one of the most influential albums for him. And he pulls a lot of inspiration into what he's doing today because of that album. Have you heard that? Have you heard that before?
No, I would think it's the second album because you definitely hear it, and just the way he mixes and they create. So yeah, I mean, I can believe.
So if you had a chance to look back now and look at the native tongues, what would you do different now to make that thing move forward? If you could go
at
back
that time,
right?
At that time, it'd be tough, you know,
really?
Because at that time the saying was very true: game is to be sold, not to be told. So you couldn't really, we didn't. I know we didn't have too many people that we could rely on to say, "Yo, help us maybe structure this," or you know what I'm saying? Like, how can we pull everybody together, even though we on 3 different major labels? You know what I'm saying? How can we could really finagle this? Because the time to organize it was kind of short. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and like I said, a lot of people don't see it, but when you're on 3 different big labels, it carries a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? So
it couldn't be a situation kind of like how 3 6 Mafia changed their name and then recorded under something different. It couldn't be anything like that.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but nobody was thinking like that. I think there was some emotions. I remember we had one meeting and it got real hot real fast. And that was the end of that. You know what I'm saying? To say the least.
So
but
go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike.
Nah, but I was just gonna say, like I said, at the end of the day, man, the seed was dropped. You know what I'm saying? People felt the vibe. They felt where we were coming from with those songs, and that's what energized a lot of different artists. And you know, I hate to say fans now, from what he said, but it energized our culture. You know what I'm saying? And our peers. to really become, strong and carry on the name of hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, Play, my question to you is, you being the forefront of the group, that's how pretty much Wiz described it as, you're the business. What were some of the hard lessons you had to learn about being a successful rap act at that time? What are some of the hard lessons you had to learn?
I really don't know. The thing that comes to mind, or that kind of emerges from trying to.
Was it contracts? Was it renegotiating contracts?
I mean, I'm hearing Mike speak, and it reminded me of a lot of things he's very correct about. And what a lot of people don't know, we use words very loosely. And one of those words that come to mind is being a pioneer. Mm-hmm. And, through that early phase of what would eventually be called hip hop, nobody knew what they were doing. Here we are doing something we love, because you got to remember, at the time in New York, we're going through some really serious times, fiscal crisis, gangs. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So if there ever was a time that a cliche came to life, was music was calming the savage beast. But then other people are seeing now, hey, there's some camaraderie in this. There's some money that can be made in this. And now we can have fun. Because I can remember a time where all we wanted to do, if we got any money, was to have enough money to go to the diner and get a cheeseburger deluxe, or to go to White Castle.
Oh, man.
Because the applause meant everything. That's all we wanted. And to get with someone we had a crush on, or we wanted to get together for whatever that purpose was going to be. So here comes an entity that says, hey, money could be made. What? We can get this kind of money and do this thing too? All right. But we didn't know it was going to grow into the beast that it has become. So for his group, Jungle Brothers, Casanova Rudd, Love C, ourselves, and many, many others, we're pioneers. We don't have others that we can look to, because R&B wasn't really feeling us. They didn't really respect us for us taking their music and sampling us. They didn't really be musicians at all. So to help us get above them, and they, at the time, they weren't getting paid for it. They weren't getting the royalties from their samples or anything. So our elders weren't trying to hear it. So we're destined to make mistakes. Right. And all we could do, I said, CeeLo was my thing, surviving in the streets. I'm bringing, without me mentioning any names, a lot of cats who were supposedly successful as drug dealers just applied those dynamics to selling records. Because we're taking it from what we already know and doing the best that we could. So, for me, I think Kid and I did very well. Now, if you want to compare it to veterans, yeah, it don't look so good. But in regards to our group, what we knew, my father always says to me and my sisters, you can't beat up on yourself for doing the best you could do with what you knew at the time. So on that basis alone, we all did really well. Now, what we did with our money when we got it, that's a whole different story. When we got it, we got it. I got kicked out of 5 high schools. So whatever was going to happen with the money was going to happen with the money, because I didn't go to school to learn what to do with the money. Thank God for God's grace and mercy to keep me afloat during some very dark valley time. So with all that being said, is kudos to all the groups, most of them, because like Mike G said, they were so powerful. The legacy lives.
Right.
The legacy lives.
So do you feel Kid and Play? Do you see any of your influences in any artists that came after you? And if so, which artists do you see any of the influence of Kid and Play?
Well, definitely. It might not be manifested in the way that people know Kid and Play do it. But just recently, when a brother, and I am calling him brother on purpose, because it's all mankind, it's all human. When a brother, Eminem, gets up and shouts your name out, that you're an influence to him, Eminem.
Right.
I didn't see that coming. Now, I knew that someone sent me a picture of him wearing one of my T-shirts. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and to hear your name mentioned as an influence. Then recently somebody sent me something that Nicki Minaj just got an award for, and our name came out of her mouth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I mean, because they said it. You know what I'm saying? But I think
they said it.
Yeah, they said it. I didn't say it. I heard they said it. So for me to see hip hop go through its gangster phases, you mentioned earlier. One thing he said that I never forgot, and I wish I could remember it verbatim. He said, when he was talking about the time where hip hop, he said, was going through the ice age. It was all about materialism and jewelry and diamonds. Right. But then he came up with the metaphor saying, but sometimes it gets to a point in the season where the ice has to melt and it's time for something else to come. And he was right. So hip hop is going through its different phases of growth, but we were a part of that growth. People realize that you got what G can say this, even Rudd and seeing them. When we went in the studio, we got to make records that's going to put people on the dance floor. Yep. That's what it was all about. Records that was going to put people, that was the aim, that was the goal for them to get. And that was when you knew you had a hit, is when they came on the dance floor to your joint. But then hip hop went through a phase where we chilling on the wall from now, and we ain't smiling in pictures no more. You know, all of that kind of stuff. It went through that phase. But we were a part, all of us on this panel right here, we were part of a phase that was so impactful, so impressionable, and has endured the best of time. I'll close like this. There's been time when so many dances came out after the Kid and Play Kickstep that I thought our dance was over and never was going to be remembered again. And I asked the Lord, real question to the Lord. I said, why does our dance always remain? And about 2 days later, he gave me the answer. He says, because it takes two people to do it. All the other dances you do by yourself. That dance is a celebrative dance where people get married, they score touchdowns, they win games, they win, and they do that dance to celebrate. And that's what dancing is all about, is celebrating. And that's what hip-hop was always about.
True.
No doubt.
Our troubles was going on at home, the gangs, this, all of that. Let's go and get together and let's dance until things get better.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you, Play. I know you have to run. Are you good? You have to run?
Yeah, I have a meeting I'm supposed to be getting into, but this is great. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I want to thank you all for this house party tonight.
Yo, likewise, man.
Definitely. And happy Thanksgiving to you all. Be safe.
No doubt.
Pray for our fallen soldiers out there, you know, our peers in this rap thing. And God bless you all greatly in Jesus' name.
I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for tapping in.
All right.
Peace.
Now I don't know how to leave. Oh, there it is.
I got you. Don't worry about it. So, Mike, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure. You got me for a little while.
Okay, great. So, My Buddy. I want to go to that record because it was so, I mean, just for us, and y'all talking about records that made you dance and made people get involved. You know, Super Lover C had Do the James. So, you know, back then it was a record that supported a dance, but you guys made people really move to that My Buddy. How did that come about? How did that whole record come about?
I mean, we were guests on the record. I mean, when Mace, I think Mace called or Paz called Af and was like, yo, come down, we doing something. I mean, we were just, you know, I'm glad we were friends, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, we're friends. We are friends, you know what I'm saying? And they gave us a call to come in and join in on that, you know? But it's so like Play was saying.
So it was a spur of the moment? So it was a spur of the moment record?
Well, for us it was because we were invited, but you know, it's something that they had been working on and developing, you know what I'm saying? And as they were developing, they was, you know, they gave us a shout. They was like, yo, y'all be dope on this, and that's how it came about, you know what I mean? It really wasn't like a Jungle Brothers led record at all, or Native Tongue, you know, master plan. I think it was just they was working on a dope song and they was like, yo, we've got new friends and allies in this business, and this would be a dope posse jam, to say the least, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So I watched the interview with you guys that you did. Shout out to Sway Calloway, Sway Universe. and Bam was talking about how much of a dancer he was back then. You know what I'm saying? Like he was always...
He more of a dancer now.
Well, he was saying how much he was a dancer back then, and you know, he kind of danced and he would stay in the club till like it closed. And coming up with Our House U at that time, right? New York was moving a certain way, you know. And I have a couple of questions to ask you about Chris Lighty as well, but I'm gonna ask you after that. Our House U was such a different kind of record at that time. It's almost like how Rakim came into the fold, and when he, you know, everybody was doing this, and when Rakim came, and kind of everybody kind of did this.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And so, you know, Our House U was like one of those moments. I don't know if C feel the same way, but it was just so different at the time. What made you guys really say we're gonna do this? Because I don't recall anybody doing that prior to.
Nah, I mean, well, you know, that was another one where we actually got invited, you know, through Todd Terry and Tony D, and shout to Oswald. You know, Tony D had a record. Oh man, which I can't remember the name, and I just saw an interview where he was talking about it. But he had a record. They had a record. And they had Royal House. They were doing a version of it, and they was like, "Yo, we need to do like a hip hop version of it." And we were all on the same record label at the time, which was Idlers. And they invited us down because I mean, at that time, a lot of cats don't know, but you know, to me, I always I feed it to people like this. House music to me comes from disco. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And disco jams was used as breaks a lot of time for hip hop. Now, when you got into the party scene, a lot of times cats would they would rock disco, they would rock certain beats, and if you was there late enough, they started rocking house music. You know what I'm saying? They started rocking house jams, so it was already a staple within the scene. You know what I mean? So for us, it wasn't something so foreign hearing house music. You know what I'm saying? It was just another dish that we liked. You know,
but when you was hearing it wasn't no rap music over. I mean, nobody was rapping over it.
No, but you could feel it though. You know, it's party music. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we did. We just turned up.
Go ahead, see.
Yeah, I was saying a lot of times after we left the hip hop club, we went over to the house music, and which ran a little later, by the way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what we did.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of cats don't know. What's that the spot of downtown? The Garage.
Yeah, the Garage, the Tunnel, all that.
Yep,
man.
yeah, the Tunnel.
As soon as it was over, man, we head down to go a little further downtown and go party some more.
Yep.
So go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
So it was already on the plate. Just catch, you know, nobody really had the opportunity to jump on it. I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody would have jumped on it if it wasn't us. So, but you know, like I said, we were right there at the right time. You know, we were with one of the greatest hip house producers, Todd Terry. You know, we were sharing a room with him. And when he asked us to jump on us, it was a no-brainer. It's like it's literally like if you at a party and they rocking a dope beat, no matter if you think it's left field, but if it's rocking, you're gonna jump on it, you're gonna do your thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what we did. You know what I mean? Right. You're gonna go for the gusto.
You know, that's crazy because how old is that record?
Come on, man. Why are you trying to do that, man? I already got the little grays.
You know, the reason why I say that, Mike, is because like even today, you throw that record on, people was getting down to it.
Oh yeah, that's that 88, 89 flavor. You know what I'm saying? That 88, baby.
So what was it like working with the young Chris Lighty?
Oh, it was great, man. I mean, you know, it was all family. It was like, you know, he was the big brother at that time, you know. I'm pretty sure you probably heard about Red talking about Violators and how that all formed and how he kind of designated everybody positions. And Chris was one, he really took it to the next step. You know, he took his position and his love for hip hop and the business to the next step. And watching him grow was amazing. You know what I'm saying? And him helping us out early on was really, it helped mold us to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? He definitely left his imprint on us as far as when it came to the business, because, you know, he basically road managed us for a certain amount of time. And then he went on to work for Rush and, you know, started working with them and helping them out. But it's like the tactics that he showed us, we kept those in place. You know what I'm saying? That's what kind of helped us continue to go further and just continue. And I mean, Chris he was a solid dude. You know what I mean? He's definitely 100, as they say. You know what I mean?
Did you see? I mean, I guess, was it a telltale sign back then of how sharp he was when it came to business?
To a certain extent. I mean, you could tell when a guy has a hard work ethic, and you could tell that Chris had a hard work ethic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Chris was working a regular job at one time. He was working a regular job, doing that, hanging out all night, would road manager sometimes, and then still stay up or get a couple of hours sleep and still go to work. So yeah, he was on it. He was on one. You know what I'm saying? He was definitely on one.
To see him go from, he was a road manager, right?
Yeah, he was our road manager. Yep.
From him to go from being a road manager, and years later you see him building this empire with Mona Scott, with all these big artists like Missy Elliott and Busta Rhymes and LL Cool J. Did it kind of make you just like, I'm pretty sure you just looked and smiled and said, I see my man shaking right now?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt, without question, because, you know, I mean, you know, definitely proud of him. But like I said, I didn't really expect nothing less from a guy like Chris. Like I said, man, he's a hard worker, and he was a student of the music and the business. Definitely a student of the music, because he was one that really put me up on like going to get mixtapes at that time, like going to get the doo-wops and listening to different mixtapes from the different DJs around the city, listening to the sound, seeing what's hot, seeing what's going to be the next hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was on that. So I was like, okay. You know, like I said, he studied the game, and he was a hard worker, man, and hard work pays off.
Right.
So
I wanna acknowledge something too. DJ Sammy B. I have a question about him. You know, at the time, the DJ, when you guys came out, was a very, very important part of music, right? So I'm gonna ask you two-part question. How important was Sammy B to the Jungle Brothers? And two, why did the DJ's importance to the world fall off? Like, you know, you have Run DMC and Jam Master Jay, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. They were in the forefront, Eric B and Rakim. But somewhere down the line, the DJ fell off. So how important was Sammy B? Shout out to Sammy B. And why do you think their role being in the forefront kind of fell to the back?
Well, for us, Jungle Brothers, to me, for Sammy, you know, personally and as a group, Sammy puts a passion into DJing and really helps orchestrate the way a show is going, or, you know, how you can roll through a set. You know what I mean? And that's important, because sometimes you may, like, you know, not so much early on, but maybe now, you know, you may get into a set, you're not really feeling it, or you're not really sure of what direction, but a DJ can really take a view of the crowd and really take you the direction to help you take it to the next step. You know what I'm saying? Right. Where, you know, we started with, you know, we had our first album, and, you know, we were rocking maybe the 2 or the 3 songs that we had on the album that were popular, but Sammy was able to mix various break beats that we grew up rocking to, and that would help lengthen our show. You know what I'm saying? And that would help perfect our show and help us develop showmanship. You know what I'm saying? Right. The maestro, you know what I'm saying? He, you know, you need that, you know what I'm saying? And I guess if you go into why it fell off, I think, again, it goes back to like what big business is like. They didn't realize the importance of the DJ, especially within the hip hop culture. It's like, oh, well, we just need the guys who's talking all the time. Nah, it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? I think for authentic hip hop group, it's like you gotta have a DJ. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion.
It kind of moved from more of the DJ, and like you said, the DJ kind of controlled the direction of the crowd. Sometimes it kind of moved from the DJ now to the producer.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
It moved on from the DJ to the producer. So now, like you say, what they need now is more of the lyrical person in the production itself, and which is big business now.
It's big business.
Big business now.
But you gotta, you come from the same school. Before the producers was on stage, it was you and the DJ. You know what I'm saying? And if the DJ couldn't set the tone, you might as well go home. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and it progressed over time as well. And you're absolutely right. It progressed over time. The DJs out in the park was the biggest thing. You know what I mean? When somebody brought their set out, when I was back home and the Disco Twins brought their set out, that was a big thing. When it came out to then the MCs were to come up and, one after another, everybody got to show their little piece. You know what I mean? Then slowly it started to transition to the MC kind of moving to the front, the DJ moving to the back. And then now it's more the MC up front to production in the back, and kind of the DJ's kind of out of the mix now. So it was something that progressed over time. If you followed along with it, you've seen it happen.
Yeah, that's true. But I think I always still hold a DJ to a high regard, because I think it's like the Milli Vanilli effect. You know what I'm saying? How long you gonna keep rocking off a dad or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Right. Your DJ is your one man band. You know what I'm saying? So
and the DJ was, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but the DJ was so important. Like you say, if you rock off a DAT and something goes wrong, even with you while you're rocking off that DAT, there's nothing. You know what I'm saying? That DAT is still playing.
No doubt. And the DJ can spin it back and add more energy to the crowd, to the show, everything. So
the DJ helped you recover everything.
It's almost the effect like a live band has nowadays, on shows. You know what I'm saying? The DJ does the same thing, but to a different magnitude. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
So Mike, I got a couple of questions for you before we shut things down. So one is from Dartmouth. He says, whose idea was it to make Black Woman by the Jungle Brothers?
Wow, that's a good one. I gotta shout out my man Greg for passing on the sample. And I forget, it was a concept. I can't remember exactly, to be honest. It was either me or Av. I know I wrote a part of it. I wrote it about my mom, because I lost her early. She wasn't able. I lost her my first year in high school.
Wow.
So a lot of that was aimed towards her. But I got to shout out my man Greg, because he gave us the sample. He always beats me in the head every time I see him.
And my other question was, looking at De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest, and I know you Jungle Brothers was very influential in, I don't want to say everything they did, but a large part of what they did. Is that safe to say that? His phone might have cut off. Well, if he comes back in. But my question to you, Super Lover C, if Jungle Brothers influence was in De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest. Here go Mike G. He's back.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry about that. So, Mike, my question was really aimed at, did you see them being as big as they were going to be at that time? Like, did y'all know, did you kind of look at them and say, wow, De La is going to be out of here, Tribe is going to be out of here?
No, not really. I didn't really see. I saw what I definitely saw from them was the energy that they put into the music and the sounds that they were producing, and the way it kind of the way it captured people. You know what I'm saying? I think as a performer, Rudd knows this. Like, you going borough to borough, city to city, state to state, or whatever, the temperament is different all over. But when you can get that consistent vibe from cats that you get in front of, when you go on the rock, you could tell if a person has longevity. You know what I'm saying? And I can see that with them, especially with De La and Tribe when they first started off, because we got to rock in a wide variety of places in front of all different types of people. And the stamina and the love for the music was there, man. But the sound, the sound is what pulls you in, and they definitely had that and have that for the most part.
See, do you have any questions? I got a couple more, but do you have any questions for Mike? I don't want to just be doing all the I don't want to pull all the wisdom out of him.
Nah, that's all good. Well, we gonna shoot, man, because I got to get to my family duties, man.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then there you go, man. I appreciate you for tapping in tonight, man. We're getting ready to wrap up. Thanks, Mike, for coming through, and I appreciate you and everything. You've done 4 music, and gave us an opportunity to kind of keep those memories and continue to dance to y'all work. So I salute you for that, man.
Hey, thanks, brother. Thanks, man.
Word up. Through too, man. All right, Mike. Thank you, brother.
I see.
All right.
You okay? One love, y'all.
All right. Peace.
One.
So there you go, man. Mike G, Play. Good show tonight. See, what's your thoughts, man? Nice close out.
It was a good show. It's always a good show.
Right.
I mean, if I don't see why anybody would miss these shows, man, because you learn so much. I mean, I shared stages with these brothers.
Right.
But there's so much to learn from each individual group. And then just the nostalgia of it, man, just remembering the times and the music and the difference in genre, especially, I mean, not the difference in genre, but the difference in the styles. Because nowadays we just listen to the same music, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we're not knocking what anybody's doing, but every time I recap one of these songs, like, Jimbrowski, I mean, all those songs, just, talking to Mike G today, the times that we had back then, talking to Play and the times that we had back then and just coming up together, man, it's just amazing. The energy was great back then and good memories, and just important stuff that needs to be out there that people need to hear, man. Our audience need to hear that.
You know what I love about tonight? One, we wrapped up the season very well with KRS-One, so we're gonna give ourselves a round of applause for that. KRS-One was a great way to end the season. I learned a lot from the season. I learned that we have an audience. Guys, we're only gonna get better at what we do. This is our first season. I don't normally go live, so I'm learning how to carry a conversation for 2 hours. I think, we're gonna try to top it at 2 hours. But what I love about tonight, most of all, was how they gave you your flowers. See, I wasn't expecting that.
It's always appreciated.
I wasn't, but they really, and just to see you sit back, because I know a lot of the private conversations you and I have that's not on camera, just about the music and things. But tonight was a true testament of your contribution to the music, and not only just to the fans that's in the chat, the people that'll watch this at some other point, but your peers. Play kept insisting. I'm not just saying this because here. I'm saying this because this is what it was and what it is. And so it just goes to show you how important Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd was. And I want to thank you for being a part of the show, because I know I had this wild idea to do this show about paying homage to artists, but with artists of their peers. And so a lot of times that's a lot of ego things that a lot of artists don't want to get involved in, because they feel like, well, I don't really need to be showing that kind of love in public, to that degree. But I thank you for believing in the idea.
Sure.
I thank PMD for getting involved and believing in the idea. But I think we had a great season, and I want to thank everybody that tuned in every week, not only to the show but to the lives. It's too many people to name, and I don't want to start naming because I'm gonna forget. So I just want to thank everybody. But most of all, I want to thank my co-host, Super Lover C, PMD. I want to thank Jessica Melendez for holding us down every week, being the moderator. We're all learning. I want to thank everybody that donated and supported the super chat, the Cash App, because it all helps. Like, sometimes in order to get artists on the show, it may require some funding, but it gives you guys an opportunity to ask questions and talk to them directly right after the show. And so next season, what we're trying to do is whoever we feature on the show, we're trying to have them right after the show airs. You can talk to them live. So we're going to be working on some new things. Me and C talked about, tell them C about doing the live version of giving them their flowers. Let them know a little bit.
Well, we're going to start doing a live version of Giving Them Flowers where we actually, opposed to actually doing an episode, we're actually just going to bring them on live.
Right.
And everybody gets the opportunity to talk. And hopefully we can get more than one, like we're doing now, right. Different groups. But it'd be great to spend time with one group or one artist or group of artists, and everybody, can actually talk about their perspective and have it actually, again, like we're doing now, an open forum where everybody can ask their questions. And it's just live, some of that stuff, that we see in the episode, we want to give you your flowers too, Craze, for all the hard work that you do putting these things together, man. And not just for the Giving Them Their Flowers. We know that you've been doing a lot of this work for a very long time. And putting some of these stories out here. And like you say, I didn't know this about you. It's like, yeah, man, I've been doing this stuff since I was a little kid and I'm looking up to you guys. But you know what? We got to give you your flowers, because if it wasn't for you to keep this thing going, because sometimes it can fade. People never know what happened. But, bringing us back out on this stage, we got to give you your flowers too, brother. And I look forward to doing many more.
I appreciate you too, man. And that on that note, we got 3 more minutes. So I'm going to read a couple of questions and then we're gonna rock out. Is that good? Can we stay and finish off strong at 9:30? Can we do that? See, we got 3 minutes. Do it. All right, so y'all got any more questions? Please put them in the chat. Other than that, let me see if I love your wild idea. I appreciate you, man. What you say? Can you get Bam on here? Maybe next time we can. Let me answer this question. Chris Morale, that is it. Can I find that Naughty by Nature live recap? Yes, you can. It's on my King of Content YouTube channel. Just go to King of Content, Craze the King of Content YouTube channel, and you'll find it up there. It's it should say Naughty by Nature live recap. What does it say? Craze the King of Content, Craze the Content. Let's support who's telling the real history of hip hop. I'm just making my own thing up. Real history of what really happens instead of the mainstream platform that don't tell the real history of real hip hop. And that's the whole point of doing these shows, because a lot of times these stories get lost in translation and people say things that are not necessarily the way it happened. So it's always good to hear it from, the artist's mouth. Oh, what's the Cash App? I think Jessica put the Cash App in the chat. Like I said, the super chats help if you're on YouTube. The Cash App helps if you're on Facebook. The money really just goes toward the show. It takes a lot of time and energy to put the shows together, try to pull the artists on live to be able to answer you guys' questions. It's all the operation we all going to get better at. But we appreciate y'all. And so next season, we're expanding it beyond music. We're going to be highlighting on the actual episode. So right now, so you guys know, we're going into season 2 of production. So that means we're going to be filming the shows, but in between of filming and producing the show, we're going to do live versions of the show. Where C said we're going to bring certain artists out like Kwame and Public Enemy and a couple of people. I'll probably bring Big Daddy Kane on and maybe Rakim. Who knows? Tune in. But on that note, it's 9:30. Thank y'all for closing out the season with us. Like my man Russell Simmons says, and I always say it in closing, thank y'all for coming out. Let me do it right. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless. Good night. Peace.